All right, welcome to the last section of Unit 2 on the Constitution. In this unit, we're going to go over the Constitution and the judicial branch of the government. The judicial branch um, focuses on interpreting laws and interpreting the Constitution. And so, in that end, we're going to step back and go over each section of the Constitution very quickly. First of all, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. It's about 7,000 words, which is not very long. It consists of a preamble, which is like an introduction, and then articles. Each article summarizes how the government's supposed to be run and outlines the relationship between the state and the national government. So in the preamble, it just explains why they have the Constitution. Article 1 of the U.S. Constitution explains the legislative branch. The legislative branch, as you would remember from the first section of this unit, goes over how to create laws and involves how Congress is set up, including the House of Representatives and the Senate. Article 2 is the executive branch. This is primarily the President of the United States, then followed by the Vice President and the members of the President's Cabinet. Article 3 of the U.S. Constitution explains the judicial branch and how our country's court system is set up. Article 4, relations among the states. This explains the place that the states have within the country and describes their relationship to the national government. Remember, we have something called federalism, where we have one government that kind of overarches all the governments, all the state governments in the country. Article 5 talks about how to amend the Constitution. These are how to make changes or additions to the Constitution. Article 6 talks about national debt, the national law, and oaths that elected officials have to take when they go into office. This is where the Constitution is declared as the supreme law of the land. Article 7 talks about how the process that the founding fathers went through to ratify the Constitution. Then we have the Bill of Rights. You're going to need to know most of these, or at least the gist of most of these. And so the Bill of Rights was added on a few years after we ratified the Constitution. And the first one is freedom of speech, press, association, or religion. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. The Third Amendment says that you don't have to quarter soldiers, means you don't have to let soldiers live in your house. That was a big complaint from part of the reason we had the Revolutionary War, the American Revolution. 4 is you're protected against unreasonable search and seizures. 5 is you have a right to due process under the law. That means that to be arrested and confined, for the government to take away your freedom, they have to go through certain steps. And they can't just grab you off the street and throw you in prison. Amendment 6 is you have the right to a speedy trial. It means they can't just put you in a prison cell and be like, yeah, we're going to get around to trying him eventually, and then just never try them. Amendment 7 is you have a right to trial by a jury of your peers. Amendment 8 protects you against cruel and unusual punishment. Amendment 9 says that Americans have rights that aren't listed in the Constitution. The Founding Fathers understood that they would have to they would have to come up with a ridiculous amount of rights if they were going to list them all. And so they said Americans have rights that are just not listed in the Constitution. And then Amendment 10 gives all powers not granted to the federal government to individuals and the states that they live in.